Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We heard the bell, so I'll go ahead and call the regular scheduled council meeting for December on December 11th, which is my wife's birthday, to order, and turn it over to Councilman Dexter Mack to do the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Our God and Father, thank you for allowing us to gather here as a town council tonight. Watch over us as we move forward and grant us wisdom to make decisions that are honorable, just and pleasing in your sight. Continue to bless our town as a whole and our citizens one by one. We offer special prayer tonight for Chief Wright's daughter as she undergoes surgery. Be with her, guide the hands of those caring for her, and bring her safely through this moment. We also lift up our employees and their family members who are facing difficult or uncertain times. May they feel your strength, comfort, and peace. For all these and other blessings we ask in your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. I have the distinct pleasure of recognizing two ladies who served as mayors for the day here in the town of Summerville. We have Miss Ann McGay and Miss Janice Sutton, who took on some heavy tasks this afternoon while I could go out and stroll the town and get some food and relax for a minute. But these ladies were actually participated in a fundraising effort for breast cancer. And I really appreciate what you do in this community and for coming here and helping me today. So please give them a round of applause. And I would be remiss not to also comment that I see one of our former mayors, who I call my mayor, Mayor Ricky Waring. Thank you for being here, sir. It's good to see you.
Next is our employee spotlight, the Town of Summerville Information Technology Department.
I was going to say, I thought we had more folks than this.
We do. They're coming.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Mayor.
This is from Lenny Larkin, our IT manager. This month, we proudly recognize the IT department for the tremendous amount of work that happens behind the scenes every day. Their expertise and dedication have been especially evident during the extremely complex relocation of all central public safety services to temporary sites throughout the town while the new public safety complex is under construction. Despite the challenges of this large-scale transition, the IT team has continued to seamlessly provide support and services for more than 450 employees, ensuring the town's systems remain reliable, secure, and fully operational. Thank you to the entire IT department for your professionalism, problem-solving, and exceptional commitment to keeping our town running.
We have some computers to print out for y'all, but Beth's gonna put a ticket in because the printer's not working. I do appreciate everybody coming out to recognize the IT department. I know that's what y'all are here for tonight. But these guys work really, really, really hard behind the scenes. I know y'all don't see it a lot, but this team is really an exceptional part of the town. I'm very proud of it. Thanks.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Your name.
All right.
Thank you for joining us tonight for our Employee Length of Service Awards. As I call your name, please come forward, get your certificate from Chris Grant, our HR manager, shake the hand of Mr. Mayor Touchberry, and pose for a picture. I did want to let you know, this is not like graduation where you have to hold your applause until everybody comes up and sits down. So each one of our employees has achieved a significant milestone tonight, so please feel free to cheer. All right, starting off with 10 years of service to the town of Somerville. From the police department, Captain Christopher Cooper. With 10 years of service to the town of Somerville and the police department, Lieutenant Adam Canfield. With 10 years of service to the town of Somerville and the police department, Corporal Raymond Gayhart. With 10 years of service to the town of Somerville from the police department, Corporal Jonathan James.
I'm trying to make me look short.
With 10 years of service to the town of Somerville from the fire department, Captain Kevin Poole.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
With 10 years of service to the town of Somerville from the police department, Corporal Corey Nelson. Next, with 15 years of service to the town of Somerville from the streets department, Orlando Willis. Next, with 25 years of service to the town of Somerville in the Parks and Recreation Department, Kevin Alston. With 25 years of service to the town of Somerville from the fire department, Deputy Chief Richie Evangelista. "25 years of service to the town of Somerville in the fire department, Chief Brent Melcher. And with 25 years of service to the town of Somerville in the engineering department, Tom Pierce. And last but certainly never least, with 30 years of service to the town of Somerville in our administration department, Donna Scott. Thank you, everyone. Next is approval of minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve items A and B under approval of minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and seconds for approval of items A and B on the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Schuler, would you like to come up?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I would like to introduce the first public hearing for the proposed Sixth Amendment to the Nexton Development Agreement by and between Nash Nexton Holdings LLC and the town of Somerville for that certain property known as Nexton, located along Highway 17A North Main Street in the town of Somerville, South Carolina. Amendment includes removal of the requirement to provide acreage for municipal facility.
Thank you, Ms. Schuler. We will go ahead and open the public hearing for that item. Anyone wishing to speak on that?
I don't have anyone signed up for public hearing number 1.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close that hearing. Ms. Jessie.
And I'd like to introduce public hearing number 2, the development agreement with Nash Nexton Holdings LLC for that certain property identified as approximately 738 acres located in Berkeley County along Wild Game Road, Sheep Island Road, Nexton Parkway, and Grand Boulevard, and comprised of a portion of TMS number 195000046. The development plan includes single-family residential, commercial, and civic community recreation land uses. It is currently proposed to be split into 2 separate districts, a neighborhood residential district and a neighborhood mixed-use district, with a total density of 1,233 residential units for the entire property, and also 100,000 square feet of office use, medical office, and 100,000 square feet of shopping retail. I would also like to turn it over to Brent Jabadlo, representing Nash Nexton Holdings.
Okay, Mr. Jabadlo.
First off, I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to address you this evening. Secondly, I would like to say that as this process has proceeded, we have received significant helpful feedback, both from the town, Berkeley County, but most importantly, the community at large. Our team has already begun making potential changes to this submission, which I'm confident will only improve what's being proposed. I would like to clarify a few items that have been raised, though, during this process. First and foremost, no property outside of the property in question is going to be annexed into the town of Somerville, only the property that we are here representing. Secondly, no property is going to be transferred from Berkeley County to become part of Dorchester County, nor will anyone's school zones and school districts be impacted. I wanted to make sure folks were clear on that. And then lastly, I'd like to clarify what the current zoning on the property that's already permitted on this property and the current zoning that is covered under our existing Berkeley County development agreement for this property. And as Jesse said, it's helpful to think of the property really as 2 distinct districts. There's the neighborhood district, which is west of Sheep Island Road, and then there's this mixed-use district, which is east of Sheep Island Road. The mixed-use district along Nexton Parkway is currently zoned and permitted for a variety of commercial and residential uses, along with the 23-acre municipal park. Under this proposal, those permitted uses would essentially remain the same. Under the neighborhood district, the current zoning today is entitled for 447 residential units. In addition to that, an additional 447 accessory dwelling units would be permitted as well. Along with that would total 894 residential units currently today permitted on the property. Additional civic uses such as schools, places of worship and assembly, and mining operations are currently permitted on this property today. One of the reasons we proceeded with this process was we've never believed that this zoning was really the proper zoning for this area. The zoning as it's currently stated would result in essentially all the property being developed, all of it being disturbed, most of the trees outside of the preserved wetland areas coming down, and really wouldn't be in keeping with the nature of that area. What we are proposing, tonight's proposal that you have in front of you, would allow these same uses as currently permitted in this neighborhood area, with the exception that the mining operations would not be permitted. It would increase the number of proposed units to 1,233 units. However, ADUs would count against that permitted unit number. So we wouldn't be able to do additional units beyond that, even with ADUs. I'm sure folks are wondering, how do you come up with this type of number and figure out what the appropriate zoning would be for the property? And there's a number of factors you look at. Primarily, you look at adjacent property and what it's zoned for. You look at obviously the zoning codes, but traffic is also another factor that we considered. And the total number of units that's in this proposal, 400 of these units would be deed restricted active adult units. When you think of those, think of a retirement type community like a Del Webb. These types of uses have a much reduced number of traffic impacts. And if you get into sort of the traffic engineering world, it essentially converts from about a 3 to 1. So those 400 units, when converted to more of a conventional units, would bring our total number of units close to about 900 from a traffic standpoint. However, having said that, we have certainly heard the concerns that have been raised through this process. And I have to say, on a slightly personal note, I have to think about sort of that old saying, it's the worst system out there, but it's the best one we've got today. This system does work, which I think is great. We came here before Planning Commission. We heard from the public at large. We heard about their concerns. The multi-step process we've had to go through in front of Berkeley County as well, I'm confident is going to lead to a better outcome. So that being said, as I've mentioned, we've heard these concerns through this process related to traffic, the proposed number of homes, but most importantly, maintaining the rural character of this particular area. To that end, as I've mentioned, we've already begun working on potential improvements to this development plan. As recently as today, we've met with town and county officials and spoke with community members. And I can commit to everyone here today that we will continue to speak with and listen to all interested parties through this process. Through the process, I'm optimistic that we will end up with a better solution, an improvement to our currently permitted development plan that is in place, and I believe we will end up in reducing the total number of units that we're presenting to you before today. Additionally, I think we can increase the amount of preserved green space and buffers, particularly along major corridor roadways in this area. With that being said, I'd like to thank you all again for this opportunity. At the appropriate time, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I look forward to working both with the town, the county, and the community at large. Thank you all.
Thanks, sir. Council members, any questions at this time? All right. Thanks, sir.
Alvin Lumpkin.
Good evening, Mayor Touchberry and members of Town Council. My name is Alvin Lumpkin Jr. I'm a resident of the New Hope Jedburgh community here in Council District 2. I'm here this evening to respectfully urge you to deny the proposed annexation and rezoning request by Nash Nexen Holding LLC. First, I want to acknowledge and appreciate the clarifications that have recently been shared with residents. We now understand that annexation applies only to undeveloped land within existing Nexen plan development. That surrounding neighborhoods like New Hope are not being annexed, and that existing homeowners will not see changes to county millage. That transparency has been helpful. However, even with those clarifications, the core concerns remain, particularly regarding density, infrastructure, and public safety. This property was approved under a 2006 development agreement for 447 homes. And 447 homes only. That number reflects what the road, network, drainage systems, schools, and emergency services were originally designed to support. Increasing that number to more than 1,200 homes represents nearly a threefold increase in density. And Berkeley County leadership has made clear they do not support density beyond the original 447 units. Residents strongly agree with that position. Annexation is not a neutral act. Once land is annexed into the town of Somerville, it is permanent. It shifts long-term zoning authority and creates a pathway for future amendments that make higher density easier, not harder. That reality is why the Planning Commission reviewed this request and recommended denial after a public hearing on November 17th. That professional recommendation deserves serious weight. Public safety must also be part of this discussion. The regional emergency medical services that currently serve this area, including Dorchester County EMS, have publicly reported staffing shortages of approximately 16 EMTs and paramedics. Average response times are now over 9 minutes, with only about 74% of calls meeting target response goals. This is not criticism of first responders. They're doing everything they can. But it's clear indication that regional emergency response capacity is already strained. Adding significant new density without clear funded and operational expenses in emergency services places residents at an unnecessary risk. Residents are already dealing with traffic congestion on Sheep Island Road and Nexen Parkway, ongoing drainage and flooding concerns, and overcrowded schools. These challenges exist today before any additional density is approved. Tonight, I'm not speaking alone. Over 480 residents from Berkeley County and Somerville have signed a petition opposing annexation and density increase. This reflects broad documented concern about safety infrastructure and quality of life. For this reason, I respectfully ask council to uphold the planning commission recommendation, maintain the original 447 home limit, and deny this annexation and rezoning request unless until infrastructure, emergency services, drainage, schools are clearly demonstrated through transparent, updated studies to be capable of supporting additional growth. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I typically, before our public comment period, highlight that that is not proper protocol. If you would just keep your thoughts to yourself. If you are a leader of the community and you want to recognize folks who may be representing your community, you can turn around, have them raise their hand in agreement. But we'd like to conduct ourselves quietly so that we can proceed and respect everybody's time. Thank you.
Brian Ambrose.
Good evening, Brian Ambrose, 308 Aberdeen Circle in the town of Somerville. Honorable Mayor and Town Council members, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you regarding the proposed annexation and development by Nexton Holdings in the New Hope area. I am a resident of the town of Somerville, but my family's farm is adjacent to these proposed properties. We have cultivated that land and the wildlife there for generations. I urge you to oppose this development and protect a critical natural habitat that holds immense ecological value for Somerville and the entire state of South Carolina. The area in question was previously managed timberland by West Vaco, and more significantly, it has been designated as a conservation area by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the South Carolina Ocean and Coastal Resource Management, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This consensus among regulatory bodies underscores the sensitivity and importance of preserving this specific parcel of land. This parcel also serves as vital habitat and nesting area for eastern wild turkeys. The population of these magnificent birds in South Carolina has seen a dramatic and concerning decline of 51%, according to the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. We have a thriving and growing population in that area and a responsibility to protect their remaining critical habitats. The environmental impact on our local waterways would also be significant. This project includes areas with National Wetlands Inventory designations of PFO1BD and PSS1BD, which indicate specific sensitive forested wetlands. The proposed development will increase runoff that directly impacts the Ashley River and Cypress Swamp, which receive drainage from Miller Dam Branch and Felder Branch, both of which run through the project site. The local watershed contains a total of 176 stream miles and approximately 83 acres of lake waters, all classified as freshwater, necessitating the highest level of protection. Additionally, these lands serve as sponges that store water and help prevent flooding. Loss of them are likely to increase flooding issues on nearby properties. Approving this development threatens a designated conservation area, accelerates the decline of a vulnerable species, and jeopardizes the quality of our vital freshwater resources. I ask you to prioritize our natural heritage and environmental sustainability over this development. Please vote to oppose the annexation and construction of any new homes by Nexton Holdings in the New Hope area. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Tanya Collins.
Good afternoon. My name is Tanya Collins, and I'm a lifelong member of the New Hope Sheep Island community located in Berkeley County off Jedburgh Road. This community is rich in history, and most residents live on farmland that has been in their family for generations. Mine is about 5. In the Sheep Island and New Hope communities, we try to live a slow-paced rural lifestyle, even though we are being surrounded by chaos and development. Currently, Nash Nexton is attempting to annex over 700 acres of our community into the town of Somerville. This will have tremendous negative effects on not only our lifestyle, but our safety. There will be confusion on emergency services since parts of the community will remain in Berkeley County. This could delay medical and fire services to our residents. We also have flooding issues as 3 creeks run through our community. The last big rain event damaged all of the bridges in our community, as well as closed down Highway 6 due to damage on those bridges as well. If Nash Nexton is able to develop in our community, this will have devastating effects due to flooding. In addition, residents of our community can't afford a tax increase if incorporated into the town of Somerville. Many live on fixed incomes. This will be an extra burden they must bear. Obviously, they know that Berkeley County will not let them densely develop this community that's considered rural on the comprehensive plan. So they're trying to get Somerville to annex them. And we just went to the meeting the other night and it was 447 was that magic number. And the entire community is strongly against the annexation, and we respectfully ask that you deny. Thank you.
Annette Brown. Daniel Earl Smith Jr.
Folks, I really don't need this microphone to talk to anybody, but I want to tell you this. I lived in New Hope community. My forefathers have lived in New Hope community. It's been 15 generations raised there. The old home is still standing, made out of heart pine. It was cut off the farm. There were 5 houses up there built out of heart pine, cut off the farm with 2 steam sawmills. There was 25 family farms out there at one time, Afro-American farms and white farms. There's 3 farms left. Myself, I'm knocking 79 years old. I'll be 79 December 31st this year. We farmed all our life. People think the food comes from a grocery store somewhere. It does not. It's got to come off some farm somewhere before it gets to a grocery store. And I will tell you, Bill Gates owns 90% of the corporate farms in this United States. Stuff comes out of Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, Florida, wherever. It's put in refrigerated warehouses, treated with sodium nitrate, put on trains, refrigeration, tractor trailers, airplanes, shipped in out of these stores, put in refrigerated coolers in the back of these stores. So much is taken out of time, put on refrigerated shelves, and people's going through there picking this up, looking at it, laying it down, and you don't know whether they waited behind last week or the week before. When I go up my fields and I pick a right tomato off a bush and I bite it and that juice runs down my shirt, that's right tomato. You cannot buy a right tomato or tree ripe peach out of any store or any produce stand. I go out there to my peach trees, I pick a peach off that tree, bite into it, and that juice runs down my shirt, that's a right peach. One thing about all this, the love of money will carry everybody straight to hell. That's what my Bible tells me. I don't love money. I get out on that farm, there's turkeys out there, there's deer, there's black bear, there's bobcats, there's some of all the wildlife there. We plant for them, we feed them. I don't hunt. I love to look at that stuff. The beautiful trees down there like long, tall soldiers looking up to the heavens. The green birds reach up to heaven, the beautiful sky. Peace. There's no man or woman in this world can compete with what God done in 6 days. And after every day he said this is good. Man and woman has destroyed it since the beginning of time. If you don't believe me, read the book of Genesis and then read the book of Revelation. The fear of God, he can take it all from you. He can bring you to your knees. These deep pockets, you cannot eat $1,000 bills, $100 bills, or $500,000 bills. When your backbone gets to punching against your belly, you can find something to eat. And the way it's going, they're destroying the farms, the family farms. That's the backbone of the country. And I'm telling you, wetlands. Out in next town, yeah, if you're on drop off main of next town, they're filling that thing in. They dug it 12 foot deep. They stepped hauling clay and sand in there. DHEC has told me if you fill in wetlands, you cannot build on them.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. You reached your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time, but I could tell you a lot, but think about what I said.
Mark Smith.
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Smith. I live in the New Hope community, Sheep Island community. First of all, we need to stop cutting down all these trees. The trees help clean the air. If you keep cutting them all down, it creates more global warming also. Trees is what helps prevent the flooding and helps clean the air. Also, with this annexation, it's going to cause our taxes to go up, cause our insurance to go up. We had a peaceful community at one time, quiet, but now with all the development that's going on along Sheep Island Road, and there's houses, from 176 just about all the way back to Somerville. If you don't believe me, ride out there and take a look. Some of this land is in a conservation easement. Some of it's wetlands. And we don't need annexation, and we really don't need all these houses. It's just entirely too many houses out there now. Y'all have a fiasco on Central Avenue because of all the houses that's been built, Knightsville, out at the ponds, up around Jedburgh. I had a friend of mine lived out there off of Central Avenue. He'd come out in the driveway, he'd have to take a right, go a half a mile, make a U-turn to come back into town. This is getting the same way out there where we live. The roads can't handle it. It took us 20 minutes tonight coming off a Wild Game Road by the fire department to get on Jedburgh Road. That's ridiculous. That's just too much traffic. And Sheep Island Road is getting just about as bad. In Wild Game Road, it's just too much traffic. We need to do something about it. As far as the amenities go that these guys are proposing, we don't need the amenities. Berkeley County's already building amenities for people in Berkeley County. We don't need it. We don't want the annexation, and we surely wish y'all would not approve the annexation because it's just too much. Thank you.
Christine Schaefer.
Good evening. I know most of you. I'm a Berkeley County resident. I just pray that y'all, if y'all are the only ones who make this decision, that you really listen to what the people are asking you. It's been a hard year with the federal government shut down. People were without work. Tax increase is a big deal. Safety is a big deal. I travel those roads quite often. It really doesn't have room for more houses, and we're Berkeley County. Y'all are Dorchester County. We don't really need y'all annexing that. And I hope you, with your invocations, that make wise decisions. You're affecting a lot of people, a lot of people's livelihood. So just think about that before you decide. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Joel Aronson.
Yeah, my name's Joel Aronson. I live in Nexton Del Webb. And I'm just here representing myself as a resident of the community. And it just irritates me to no end that the fact that we have a 23-acre park within this tract of land that's referenced up there that Brett talked to, and a really beautiful park that's been built by the developer of Nexton, and it's been laying there finished for better than a year and blocked off to the public because why? It's my understanding that it's been blocked off because there's no entity to manage the park, which I find amazing. But at any rate, it's my understanding that a potential fix for that was to work with the town of Somerville, which has a Parks and Recreation department, to give them the property of the park, which is about 23 acres of that eastern 200-odd acre tract, give that land to them, and then they would manage it and operate it as a park for everybody. You know, I'm just hoping that this issue on annexation, regardless of which way it goes, that it can still be worked out with the town of Somerville to take that property over and open that park so everybody can use it. I mean, it's got lighted fields that you could play soccer, baseball, or whatever. It's got a great kids, amusement area with a zip line in it. It's got a I said about a 1 mile, paved hiker biker trail. And then it's also got an entertainment pavilion. So, that's what I just wanted to put in front of you guys, and I hope something can be done to get that park open and managed. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have signed up for public hearing number 2.
Thank you, ma'am. And I just want to I'll close that public hearing and make an announcement that the second public hearing for the Creekside Development Agreement is scheduled for January 15th. So just put that on your calendars so that you have that.
Next, under public comment for items on the December 11th agenda, Danny Burbidge.
And I don't think I need to restate that we'll keep our roar to a minimum through public comment, please, so we can be mindful of everybody's time. Mr. Burbidge.
Thank you. I'm Danny Burbidge, a resident and a member of the Town Tree Protection Board. And on behalf of that board, I want to urge council to approve the amendments to the UDO regarding the tree canopy in Somerville. The board worked closely with town staff of the Planning and Zoning Department and Councilman Halter to craft what we think are intelligent revisions to the ordinance that look after the benefit of the town's tree canopy and its citizens simultaneously. And again, I urge you to approve it. Thanks.
Next, Carney Switcher.
Good evening. Just ask that you guys would approve our rezoning request so that we can get the home of our dreams that we can actually afford. Thank you.
And that was for the Wassamasaw rezoning. Mr. Joel Aronson, I have you signed up for public comment. Paul?
Yeah, I wasn't sure which of those items that talked about the park, so I'll give up my time. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have on the public comment for items on the December 11th agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Under petitions, item A, petition by Nash Nexton Holdings LLC to annex a portion of TMS number 19500000046 located off of Wild Game Road, Sheep Island Road, Nexton Parkway, and Grand Boulevard, and totaling approximately 738 acres, currently zoned PDMU, Planned Development District Mixed Use Development in Berkeley County, and requested to be zoned PUD, Planned Unit Development District, following annexation to the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would be in Council District 2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation to deny the annexation and zoning at its meeting on November 17th. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at its meeting on December 8th.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the petition.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Just before we discuss, I want to point out that this approval and motion is for first reading. It is not final approval. This just advances the conversation to allow folks to work through additional things, and then I'll open it up for any discussion.
Get a second. A second already.
We had a motion in a second, so open for discussion, council members.
Well, I'll start off by saying, I think Nash Nexton has proved to do a great job in our community already. It's not somebody coming from out of town. And I am for smart development, especially that strengthens our commercial tax base. I think we need that if we're ever going to bring the residential taxes down in our area. And if it supports the infrastructure. They've already proved to bring great restaurants like Hall's and Poogan's and have done a great job.
Please keep the noise down. Thank you.
With that, I do have quite a few additions and changes I'd like to see in the development agreement. So we already know between the Creekside mixed use and the neighborhood district that at least 20% of that must remain park and open space, and they've dedicated the 20-acre park to Somerville. So I do appreciate that. It does the 447 half-acre homes. It's about 2 units an acre. Versus the 1,233, about 2.6 units an acre, and that's because of the smaller lots, and justified by the sewer service clustered open space design. With that being said, there are some changes that I've got here listed out that I'm happy to provide y'all after the meeting as well. The maximum height in the development agreement, I'd like to see that reduced to 40 feet for primary residential structures maximum and 20 feet for accessory. That's what's in our NMX zoning now. And it seems like this is gonna be a lot like an NMX area. Currently, the development agreement has 55 feet and 30 feet for ADUs. So this still allows for that density, but it brings it down to a human scale and more walkability. And the development agreement notes that land has already been provided for Nexton Elementary in the past, and also what would be Midtown Middle that's being built now. I know they absolutely appreciate that. It's been an asset to the area. Nexton Elementary was built to hold 1,120 students, and they're at 973 as of today. And we know that the growth is going to pressure that to continue. However, the lines are being redrawn presently. I think they've got a second reading next month on that. I do think the development agreement needs to consider a school coordination clause, talking to Berkeley County to review what's current and projected with the elementary capacity, making sure that it will be sufficient, and it may be sufficient. But if it is insufficient, hopefully the town would agree to defer final plats until the district confirms that capacity and a mitigation plan's put into place. I do think that's smart, responsible growth. Further, the development agreement allows for the developer to have their Creekside Design Review Board following the same process that was used for the existing design guidelines. You guys obviously did a great job with that, know what you're doing. But there is one very important addition that I think needs to be included in that. Somerville's got the oldest tree ordinance in the country, and our tree canopy is part of what makes us really special. So I think even an area like Nexton needs this. I believe it should have explicit language requiring the preservation of grand trees, adherence to the town's tree protection ordinance with clear standards for protecting during construction and mitigation if removal is ever necessary. I think that simple addition is going to keep consistency with how Nexton's been managed, but also keep our heritage in Somerville as well. There's a few permitted uses that I think should be considered to be removed. I like the mixed use concept, but in the neighborhood district, I think permitted uses for cemeteries should be removed. And I think ADUs should be limited by some kind of percentage. I did hear you say that out of the 1,200 and something units, though, that would count, the ADUs would count toward that. So that is good to know. And the mixed use district, I think we need to remove multifamily buildings of more than 4 units because Nexton already has 9 apartment communities. I should know it's in my district. I've walked every one of them, and I think that's plenty. I think we also need to remove funeral homes, cemeteries, and storage facilities. I believe we have enough of those, and it doesn't really fit for the Nexton feel. I think we need to restrict that light industrial workshop brewery to no more than 10,000 square feet. And then I would like to just know and clarify if personal services under permitted uses, I assume that means small neighborhood scale uses like salons and studios. But if it means things like vape shops, I think that should be further clarified. And if so, that needs removed. Traffic, transportation is my last concern and my biggest concern. Your traffic impact analysis assumes a 2035 build out, and it relies on several by others improvements, which we know that the county plans to have on their November 29 referendum. That means it may be close to 2035, perhaps before the widening of Nexton Parkway is to be done. And that's more of a reason that I believe some of these additional changes should be done. And I think there should be complete streets for every intersection. The development agreement nor the traffic impact analysis mentions complete streets. Nexton already is a community of its own within Somerville, and we want to encourage people to walk and bike as much as we can. All of the Creekside intersections like Drop Off Sigma, Spring Highlands, North Creek Drive Extension, the site driveway, Sheep Island, I think should be designed with streets, complete streets, 10 to 12 foot shared use paths tied into the existing Nexton trail network, 5-foot sidewalks on the opposite side, high visibility crosswalks, pedestrian scale lighting. I think when there is a 4-lane road, you should work with the county to ensure there's refuge islands, leading pedestrian intervals, no right on red protection where the trail crosses, and potentially bike boxes or separate signal faces. Of course, tighter curb radii also to slow turns. And then the North Creek Drive extension. It seems to me, and looking at the map that was in our packet, that this road's going to carry pretty much every residential vehicle and link to the schools. I think that needs to be built with the multimodal corridor with shared use paths, sidewalk, streets, lighting, safe crossings at both Nexton Parkway and Sheep Island. And then the Spring Highlands Drive, it looks like that's going to serve about 90% of the commercial traffic. I felt like that should have a southbound and a northbound right turn lane, left turn lane, signalization when warranted, full pedestrian crosswalks. And I think there should be a traffic impact analysis trigger maybe when about 50% or so of the commercial square footage is occupied. Last thing I want to mention is this past Monday committee meeting, you guys had brought the great idea of the interchange landscaping and improvements, which I think would be very beneficial and look beautiful. You'd asked for some matching funds, but I recognize as a broker and developer of myself, the difference that this will make if Somerville annexes from 400 and something units to 1,200 and something units. And I think that it's not too difficult to ask you to make those intersection improvements for us. So I would love to see you handle all of that cost. I do think Nexton has been a regional success story, and I think that Somerville is lucky to have someone like Nexton in our community that we do know is going to make a good product. And I'm sure Creekside's going to continue that. I would welcome this, but it's our duty to make sure the infrastructure of the schools, the design match the quality that our citizens expect. And with these changes that I've mentioned, I believe that is smart development. And I'd ask the applicant to bring back, a revised development agreement and speak to us a little bit more about these and how they can incorporate these improvements. And if so, then I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Council members, any other comments? I'll be happy to kind of recap that we had a meeting with Berkeley County Council or Supervisor Cribb, some of his staff, as well as the developer this morning, along with our planning director and town administrator. I want the community to know your concerns are heard. What I learned in the discussion we had this morning is that there's a great deal of misunderstanding from a lot of folks on what is currently entitled for this property versus what I believe the community would want for this property. In this discussion earlier, the public hearing, I heard about traffic. emergency services, protecting our farmland, protecting trees, protecting wildlife. What is currently entitled for that property at this time may work against some of those initiatives that your community is really desiring. I think everybody at the table this morning learned that. We also discussed making adjustments to provide larger buffers, to provide more green space, to help maybe prevent certain uses that would be in conflict with the rural character. And it sounded to me like the developer presented a commitment to do some of those things this evening as well. So for first reading, council members, I would urge you to move forward with approving first reading to allow this discussion to continue. I think it benefits the citizens inside the town of Somerville, but also those who are outside of the town of Somerville and adjacent to this development. And we discussed this morning as well, and I'm not sure which community has a community center, but Supervisor Cribb said there was a community center in this area, that it might be good to have a public meeting where folks from the town, folks from the county, and the developer sit down almost in a workshop setting and highlight what could be based on us doing nothing versus what it could be if we work together towards a better solution. And I'm committed to meet with any community members and go through that process, because if we do annex, we're going to be neighbors, and we want to be good neighbors, because that's what Somerville does. So if there's any other comments from council, if not, I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 2 opposed? The ayes have it.
Next, under pending bills and resolutions, item A, second and final reading of an ordinance to annex TMS number 14400000015 and 14400000058, located off of Greenway Boulevard and totaling approximately 4 acres and 1.71 acres respectively. Currently zoned R1 Single Family Residential in Dorchester County and requested to be zoned PL Public Lands following annexation to the town of Somerville's municipal limits.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve second and final reading for items A and B.
I'll second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve items A and B. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, for item C, I would move that we postpone that item until a geotech survey can be completed on the property.
Second. All right, motion and a second to postpone until we have a geotech study done. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Under introduction of bills and resolutions, item A, first reading of an ordinance to sell 21.6666 acres plus or minus of town-owned property TMS 13700000002 to Woodlands Mansion Property Management LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of first reading of the ordinance to sell the property.
Second. Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Item B, first reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, chapters 8, 13, and 14 to clarify tree removal, encroachment, and mitigation requirements and address the recommendations of the Urban Forest Master Plan. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at its meeting on December 8th, 2025.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Let me just say that this is how the process should work. To their credit, every single member of our tree committee showed up to an early Monday morning meeting, sat down and worked through the ordinance in a workshop type setting. In most cases, they educated me on why I was wrong. In some cases, we compromised, but at the end, I think we have a tree protection ordinance that we can all be happy about.
Councilman Halter, I appreciate you taking that on for us as well. Any further discussion, council members? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Item C, first reading of an ordinance to approve a development agreement with Nash Nixon Holdings LLC for that certain property identified as approximately 738 acres located in Berkeley County along Wild Game Road, Sheep Island Road, Nexton Parkway, and Grand Boulevard, and comprised of a portion of TMS number 19500000046. The development plan includes single-family residential, commercial, and civic community recreation land uses.
Move for first reading.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval of first reading and a second. Any discussion? Feel like we already had that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
5-2.
Item D, first reading of an ordinance to approve a proposed Sixth Amendment to the Nexton Development Agreement by and between Nash Nexton Holdings LLC and the town of Somerville for that certain property known as Nexton, located along Highway 17A North Main Street in the town of Somerville, South Carolina. The amendment includes removal of the requirement to provide acreage for a municipal facility.
Move for approval of first reading.
Second.
All right, motion and a second for approval of first reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
5-2.
Item E, first reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS number 13010000084 located at 820 Wassamasaw Road, approximately 0.25 acres and owned by Anthony and Parney Switcher from NMX Neighborhood Mixed Use to NR Neighborhood Residential. This is in Council District 1. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation to approve the rezoning at its meeting on November 17th, 2025. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at its meeting on December 8th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. All right, motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Under miscellaneous, item A, election of the mayor pro tem per Town of Somerville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 2, Section 2-67.
Council members, before we go into this, I just wanted to say that I put some thought here. We had, and I don't want to call people senior, but we had a more senior council member serve for 4 years ago. Councilman Jackson is mayor pro tem for 2 years. And then we've had the pleasure of having Councilwoman Garten serve for the next 2 years. We would definitely not call her senior, but she was junior to Bob. And in keeping with some order that may prevent feelings from being hurt, I thought we may recommend the next senior member, which is Councilman Waring. I throw that to you guys and allow y'all to do that, what you please.
Mr. Mayor, as outgoing Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to nominate Mr. Waring as the next Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Mayor Pro Tem Waring to take over in January. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Item B, authorization to reschedule the January 5th, 2026 standing committee meetings to January 12th, 2026, and the January 8th, 2026 council meeting to January 15th, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Item C, authorization for the Somerville Police Department to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Dorchester County Career and Tech Center for school resource officers.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Item D, discussion of a cooperative agreement with Brookfield Nexton for landscaping project at Nexton Parkway and I-26. The Parks and Recreation Committee voted to move this item to full council for further discussion at its meeting on December 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion. We approve that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion?
What did we identify as the funding source for our match on this project?
We have not yet. That will be a part of our discussions at the budget, as a part of the budget process that will start in late January.
Right.
So this request will be in front of you and we will discuss that with you for potential sources and then incorporation into the budget if necessary.
So we aren't really needing to take any action.
No, there's no action for you to take
Okay.
tonight. I think the Parks and Rec Committee wanted to push it up to the full council for your discussion of it. But my recommendation would be that we push it, the question and the discussion off to the January meeting at a minimum.
Very well.
Agreed.
All right. Councilman Jackson, with the new information, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion withdrawn.
I'd like to make a motion that we push this off to our budget meeting discussions.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to postpone until the budget meetings. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Under our second public comment, Linda Haynes.
I thought I put it there. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Haynes Wetzel and I live at 108 Atlantic Street. On Monday, there was a helicopter, 30 minutes at 8 o'clock in the morning, covering Atlantic Street, Central Avenue, Parsons Road. I was trying to find out what was going on. And the helicopter was just going so low, flying over in the Somerville area. And that is ridiculous, waking people up. And my biggest problem now is how long does it take for the trash to be picked up in the neighborhoods? I sent her a copy of some pictures that was taken. They had the trash cans turned the wrong way, so the trash people couldn't pick it up. I mean, it was trash all over the road. In that same house, they got dogs. They had dogs. They moved. Thank God they did. The dogs was coming out, attacking, bowing at you, and you couldn't walk down the road. I couldn't walk up my house. And also, speeding on Atlantic Street. We need bumpers or something on that road to keep these people from speeding. You got 4 signs on Carolina where 3-way stops. We need some type of apparatus to stop these residents from speeding on Atlantic Street. I've asked the police about it. I've been here several times talking about it, and nothing has ever been done. And also, loud music has been played in the back of the house at 818 Central Avenue. I don't know what company is back there. Nobody. How many times do you have to keep calling? The county comes out, they stop. 2 months later, they're back again. Mr. Mayor, it is bad on Atlantic Street. We need somebody to come and check the stuff that's going on. The police won't come down unless you call them. They don't do no spot checks in the daytime or the nighttime. And I've talked to a chief of police and asked them, I was told there's not enough money in the budget to come to Atlantic Street to check out during the week or in the daytime. We pay taxes, and this is not fair. And also, still about the dogs, Rottweilers, pit bulls. I can't walk in my yard. We've called the code enforcement. 1 week they come, and then the next thing the dogs are still doing. Mr. Mayor, please help us. I may be the only one here. It took one lady to take prayer out of schools. I'm gonna be the one person to get some changes on Atlantic Street. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for public comment. Next executive session.
So Mayor, I move for entering the executive session for discussion of appointments to the Board of Architectural Review, Design Review Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, State Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, Tree Protection Board, and Cultural Arts Commission.
A second. All right, motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter, discussion of appointments to the Board of Architectural Review, the Design Review Board, the Board of Zoning Appeals, State Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee, Tree Protection Board, and the Cultural Arts Commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are in executive session. Thank you.
I don't know.